Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. I'm excited to announce that this channel is sponsored by Ultimate Guard. For the past few years, Ultimate Guard has been hard at work finding ways to protect your cards without damaging the planet, and they have discovered it. Boulders, once made entirely of plastic, are now made of 87% renewable resources. They also come in a variety of sizes, including this new Return to Earth 100 card boulder. If you're like me, you have a ton of decks, and you don't want those boxes filling up an entire suitcase, then this is the perfect solution. Find out if your local game store carries the new Return to Earth boulders from Ultimate Guard, or click on the link down below to order yourself a set from Amazon. Today, we're covering one of my favorite decks that I've ever built. Years ago, I paid fellow YouTuber Commander Replay to play this deck on his channel, and he still gets questions and comments about it today. But before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Let me give you a bit of backstory. Everyone has a pet card. For years, Cute Stuff's pet card was Sabertooth Nishiba. I, as a red player, hated that card with a burning passion. She'd slap an armadillo cloak on that beastie and run me over. My pet deck was Wildfire with Urza and Mercidian Mask Standard. I loved that deck, and after returning to Magic, I didn't really have a pet deck until Dominaria came out, and I fell in love with Adeliz. But between the release of those two cards, I discovered Lightning Angel. For those who don't know, Lightning Angel is a 4-mana 3/4 with Flying, Haste, and Vigilance. She's a bit too small to be a real threat in Commander, and Mantis Rider overtook her in Modern, though he doesn't see much play anymore either. Ever since I started getting into Commander, I searched high and low for a place for my Lightning Angel. Cute Stuff had gotten me the From the Vault Angel for Christmas. I was able to put most of them into my Kaalia deck, but since Lightning Angel has blue, she's one of the angels that wouldn't fit. So she just sat in a binder waiting for a home for years. And then Commander Legends came out. One of the cards that caught my eye was Akroma, Vision of Ixidor. She's a 7-mana 6/6 with Flying, Vigilance, First Strike, Trample, and Partner. Additionally, at the beginning of each combat, she gives other creatures we control +1/+1 if they have Flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, Vigilance, and Partner. This means that if Akroma is on board, at the beginning of combat, Lightning Angel gets +3/+3, taking her up to an impressive 6/7. But in order to play her, I would need to add Izzet to my color identity, which meant Akroma would either need to be paired with Ludevic or Kraum. Ludevic Necro Alchemist is tempting because he's only 3 mana. This meant I could get a commander out early. Also, he encourages my opponents to attack people other than me. But Kraum has Flying, Haste, and Partner, which means if he attacks when Akroma's on board, he's a 7/7. He also draws me lots of cards. Angels have always been my favorite creature type in Magic. They're not as big and brutal as demons, nor dragons, but they have a common keyword that the other two don't. Almost all dragons fly, and many of them also have haste. Almost all demons fly, and many of them have trample as well. Almost every angel flies, and most of them have vigilance. Vigilance isn't as good as trample or haste in Commander. Sure, I can block incoming attacks and defend, but if my creatures are smaller than Cute Stuff's dinosaurs, that means I can't block favorably. Fortunately, WotC has seen fit to create a type of card that allows me to attack every turn and screw over our opponents. Stax is a long and hated part of Magic the Gathering. Lots of people absolutely loathe Stax. How dare you slow me down? My deck would have won on turn 5 if not for your Stax effects. Yeah, I know. That's why I've got them in the deck. Not only do I want your creatures tapped when they come into play, I don't want them untapping. Ever. Not so big now, are you, Earthquake Dragon? So we know we want Stax, we know we're running a lot of angels in the deck, and we know we're going to need a lot of ramp to get there. But before we get to our deck list, we should keep in mind our checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, 1 sudden I win card. Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Scalding Tarn, Arid Mesa, Flooded Strand, Polluted Delta, Wooded Foothills, Marsh Flats, Rogran Triome, Steam Vents, Sacred Foundry, Hallowed Fountain, Training Center, Spectator Seating, Sea of Clouds, Storm-Carved Coast, Sundown Pass, Deserted Beach, Sulphur Falls, Clifftop Retreat, Glacial Fortress, Scavenger Grounds, Reliquary Tower, 3 islands, 4 mountains, and 7 plains make up our land base. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Creativity, Talisman of Conviction, Talisman of Progress, Izzet Signet, Boros Signet, Azorius Signet, Chromatic Lantern, and Smothering Tithe should all be pretty obvious. Gilded Lotus isn't a card I run very often, but Angels are fairly expensive and it helps us to cast either of our commanders, so I feel it has a good spot here. Finally, Pearl Medallion. Most of the deck is white with just a splash of red and blue, so I didn't see the point in running the other 2 medallions. I know I should probably try to make room for a Dockside Extortionist and a Mana Crypt, but I didn't want the deck to be quite at that level. I know Smothering Tithe is capable of generating more treasures over the course of a game than Dockside, not counting flicker or reanimation effects, but this deck isn't designed to be explosive, and so I didn't want it. Consecrated Sphinx is ridiculous card advantage. Wheel of Misfortune and Windfall can both help refill our hands when needed. The Immortal Sun is not only a great stacks piece and ramp piece, it helps us draw more cards every turn and makes our creatures bigger. Rhystic Study is one of the most hated cards in Commander, and with good reason. Teferi's Ageless Insight is one of my favorite enchantments. Jeska's Will can either ramp us or give us a burst of cards. Finally, Sun Titan is one of the few ways white has to replay lands or other permanents from the graveyard. Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Arcane Denial, Dovin's Veto, Heliod's Intervention, Negate, Generous Gift, Return to Dust, and Commit Memory make up our interaction package. For the most part, our counter magic will be used to protect our permanents from spot removal or inopportune board wipes. But for additional protection, we've also got Mother of Runes, Boros Charm, Teferi's Protection, and Akroma's Will. Of course, Akroma's Will also serves as a Sudden I Win card. Supreme Verdict and Blasphemous Act help us to reset the board as needed. I know Cyclonic Rift is stronger, but I didn't want that strong of a deck. I'm going for something a bit more middling here. Meekstone shuts down most big creature decks. Cute Stuff hates it when this card hits the table. Same thing can be said for Storage Matrix. Authority of the Consuls and Blind Obedience both help to keep our life total high and slow our opponents down. Confounding Conundrum basically shuts down green decks, which is right and proper. Rest in Peace to kill all graveyard plans. Finally, Embargo keeps our opponents locked out of the game. Other than the key card in the deck, Lightning Angel, we're running Mantis Rider, Resplendent Angel, Audric Lunarch Marshal, Angel of Invention, Archangel of Thune, Baneslayer Angel, Lyra Dawnbringer, Aurelia the War Leader, Valkyrie Harbinger, Elish Norn Grand Cenobite, Akroma Angel of Fury, Akroma Angel of Wrath, Avacyn Angel of Hope, Zetalpa Primal Dawn, Parhelion II, Response Resurgence, and Akroma's Memorial. Now that we have our deck list, let's compare it to our checklist. 50 mana sources split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, right on target. 11 pieces of card advantage. 9 pieces of interaction plus 9 more Stax effects. 2 board wipes. 3 pieces of graveyard hate in Scavenger Grounds, Commit Memory, and Rest in Peace. 3 Sudden I Win cards in Akroma's Will, Response Resurgence, and Aurelia the War Leader. Remember, Akroma Vision of Ixidor pumps our team based on their keywords at the beginning of combat. Those buffs last until the end of the turn. So the first time Lightning Angel attacks, she goes from being a 3/4 to a 6/7. The second time she attacks, she becomes a 9/10. The same goes for all of our other creatures. Zetalpa goes from a double striking 4/8 to a nightmare 9/13 during the first combat, then up to a 14/18 on the second combat. And of course, Akroma's Will gives our army so many keywords that they all become massive and smash through any remaining blockers our opponents may have. Now, this isn't a cheap deck. Most of my personal decks fall in the $600 to $800 range. That's the power level I normally enjoy playing at. But not everyone has that amount of money, so I present to you the cheaper version of this deck. It still has a lot of Stax effects, and plays very similarly to the version I have in paper. But this one is only $100 to build. I'm not going to go over it card by card, but feel free to click the link below to see the budget list in full. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. One of the tiers is specifically set up for Commander. For only $25, I will build you a custom Commander deck based around your specifications, and even do a deck video on it. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Muffins, Marcus, Phoenix of Ice, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Josh, Sean, Pob Zombie, Mark, Danny, Alex, Ignis, Daniel, Steve, and Kevin. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander deck videos often, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Also, if you're a fan of anime and manga like I am, feel free to check out my other channel, Musings by Danon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.